welcome to Adobe Live. How's everybody doing? Let us know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Thank you so much, Andrew, who just showed you guys today's daily creative challenge. If you want to participate, make sure to go on to behance.net/challenge/illustrator. This is where you can find all the information. And we have Anjela Freyja here with us.
Hey! Hi, so happy to be here.
Yay, it's so good to have you here. She's a very, very talented designer and art director working with agencies and big, amazing companies. And she's also having a fashion line. She has a very, very amazing creative style that you can see in the background. You can already see she's really, really talented. She works a lot with typefaces, images, collaging, images and so on. So really, really excited to see what she's going to come up with today. This is an editorial design stream, so we're going to be working in InDesign and Photoshop. So my friends, Angela, I would love to give you the chance to introduce yourself. Let's go into my screen and I would love to show your website and let's take a look at your work, what you're up to, maybe to give us a little intro. You can follow Angela on Anjela Freyja Design on Instagram. Check out her work. All right, now Angela, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a designer and art director based out of Montreal normally. I've been doing design for about 10 years, lots and lots of stories and experiences. Hopefully we can chat about some of them today. And we're going to be doing a book design today, or editorial design, kind of a magazine design. I wanted to do something kind of playful as well because times are really tough, as we all know. So hopefully today we're going to work on something that's a bit more playful, imaginative, something we can all relate to as well. We're going to do a big focus on typography, how to use type in a grid system, and all the technical details in InDesign as well.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And we have a bunch of people joining us in the chat. Wuduval and Paco is here, and Emily's here, Biola, Wade, Simon, Juliet, and people from all over the place. It's so good to have you here. We have Bruce from New York. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. I'd love to know. So cool. Awesome. All right. Yeah, Angela, let's talk about what you're going to be working on and maybe just jumpstart and kick off the design process.
Yeah, definitely. So the book that we're going to be creating is called How to Survive a Pandemic, Self-Care Tips from 2020, although they're not so much self-care tips. Some of them are, but also just ways we can pass the time. And they're pretty creative. I didn't want it to be like, just go for a walk. I tried to come up with things that were really interesting and kind of funny, and we'll see what you guys think. I'd also love for you to contribute your own ideas, things that have helped you over the last year. Maybe we can create them in a spread. It should be pretty fun. We have a big list actually, of 42 ways to pass the time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to try and get through all of them. We're going to create a magazine that is really cohesive. It's got a great type system. It's going to feel professional and fashion forward and interesting. And it should be a pretty fun little project. And hopefully you guys can learn some stuff about type and layout and editorial design.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And we have Simon here saying, love your style.
Oh, thank you, Simon. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. And Juliet is here from Paris. Yasmin is here from Cordoba, Spain. Wow. So cool. People from all over the place. This is the reason why I love our design community here, because everybody is from different places. And if you want to, connect even further and participate and learn, make sure to join our Discord channel. And you can find that if you go onto behance.net/challenge/illustrator, just click onto community chat, and this is where you can get connected with all these people that are always part here of our challenges. So yeah, that's a really good platform for you to connect and to meet other creatives.
Definitely.
Cool.
So should we get started on our book?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
So we're going to be working in InDesign today, as well as a little bit of Illustrator and Photoshop. So going back and forth between the 3 softwares, but mostly we're going to stick to InDesign, which is my favorite software, but I love all of them. I'm really into XD right now. I'm using XD for everything, but today we're going to be working in InDesign. So
I love XD as well, by the way.
Yeah,
I always use the auto animate tool. I think it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know. I used to build my websites in like Illustrator or InDesign, and I can never go back. Okay, so we're going to start with a print today. It's going to be a print piece. And then I kind of want it to be an oversized magazine. So, 8.5 by 11 is your standard piece of paper. But we're going to create ours at, I think we're going to do 10 by 13 inches. And then we're going to do facing pages. The number of pages, let's do 48. I don't know how many pages it's going to be, but 48 is a good starting point. I'm going to do all my columns in grid once we get into InDesign, but for now I'm just going to do my bleed. Let's just do a minimal 0.125 bleed, no slug, and we should be good to go.
By the way, 0.125, I think it's very standard bleed that you apply.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So.
And for those of you who don't know what a bleed is, it's basically a little, a space that you leave outside the artwork. So whenever the artwork gets printed and cut, that it can be really precise and that your images don't get, or that your text doesn't get cut off. You kind of, give it a little bit more extra space for mistakes, let's say, during the print, right?
Exactly. And it's really nice because when you send it to the printer, they'll just trim it for you at your bleed, and then you have a really clean cut. I remember when I first started doing design, the bleed used to always confuse me. I never knew what it was. But now I can't work without a bleed. It's super necessary. So definitely integrate bleeds. Okay, we're going to go into the advanced workspace. I tend to have customized workspaces in my InDesign because I like to have different tabs open. I always want to have my pages, my layers, my links, my swatches, as well as character. I'm just going to add this over here. And then I'm also going to add my paragraph. So this is the workflow I like to have because it just makes everything easy and accessible. So let's start with our master pages. Actually, you know what? Let's create our type system because it's kind of fun. I'm going to show you the fonts that we're going to be working with and the different styles. I kind of want to limit the piece to 2 fonts because it's kind of interesting to see if you only use 2 fonts, how can you create a system and keep it dynamic with only 2 fonts? It's kind of a challenge, but it normally results in pretty beautiful systems. So we're going to be working with Editorial today. So Editorial is a font from Panagram, which is a great foundry in Montreal where I live. And this is a really beautiful typeface. So we're just going to call this, let's just call it typeface 1. Make it nice and big. And then we're going to just make our kerning a little bit shorter, a little bit tighter so that it feels a bit more refined.
Kerning basically is the distance, the spacing between the letters. So you can adjust it in any typeface. You can make it either smaller or bigger, and that brings the letters either closer together or further apart. It can be a really cool tool to play with. Usually when I write something in caps, I usually use a lot of spacing, and then you can really size it down a lot and it's still very well legible. So you can totally play a lot with the kerning, when you're setting up type.
Exactly. And sometimes when you're really getting specific, like I tend to do this with everything I design, sometimes the natural kerning of the typeface might not be perfect because it's hard to get it perfect, especially when you're modifying it. So for example, here you'll notice, and guys, sorry, this is neurotic, but it really is important. These are really important things to know, right? So the letter spacing between the T and the Y and the P are not as tight as the E and the F and the A. And so you just want to go in there and customize those little things that might be a little bit, not equal. Now, we're not going to do everything right now. That's kind of the last step once everything is done, going through and making sure that all your kerning is nice and tight. So we're going to be working with editorial bold. It's kind of got this like nice 80s Apple aesthetic that I like.
Yeah, totally agree.
And then I like the idea of using it bold, all in uppercase, bold in regular case, and then maybe we'll do one in light, just so that it's...
Ruthwick is saying this is a beautiful type.
It is. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Nice. And we have people joining from all over the place. This is so cool. We have Moscow, Canada. We have Toronto here, and we have Israel here in the house as well. Good to have you guys here. Thank you so much for joining. Cool. Awesome.
I'm trying to see the chat, but I can't seem to see it. It's okay though. It's okay.
Feel free to ask questions. By the way, Anjela has so much experience in freelancing and working for agencies. If you have any questions that are related to freelancing or working with agencies, or just in general working as an editorial designer or as a graphic designer, she's the best person to ask, and this is your chance. So put the questions in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer them.
One of my favorite tools in InDesign is W. It's a hotkey. Pressing W is going to bring you into your technical side of the workspace, and then clicking W is going to show you your basically print ready page. So I normally work in this space, then I press W to see what it's going to look like outside on the print page. So this is going to be our main typeface for the project, editorial. And then we're going to add a second complementary typeface that's just going to be for paragraph text. When it comes to paragraph text, I like to use traditionally Swiss fonts because they're just clean and easy to read. And that's really important to me, is having text that's easy to read. I don't want to challenge anybody.
What are some of your favorite Swiss type foundries?
That's a really, really good question. Oh my gosh, I have so many, you guys, so many. I know that's bad, right? Because there are some designers who are like, oh, you should only work with like 4 fonts, but I work with like a lot of fonts. I really love Display. I think that it's probably my favorite type foundry right now. It's just really clean, really beautiful fonts that are easy to use for everything. So it's one of my go-tos for sure.
That's beautiful. I love those.
Yeah, they have really, really nice fonts. Let's see, another one. There's so many, you guys. There's so many. Obviously. Screenshot, exactly. If you guys have questions though, like just DM me or ask me here, and I can share some more things with you. But I love Line 2 as well. They have some great stuff. Accurat is one of my favorite fonts. This comes from Line 2. Yeah, they have lots of great fonts. Guys, so many. There's so many. Obviously, Circular comes from Line 2, which is another really famous one. Let me see. Production type, kind of a classic. This is really good for corporate projects, things that you just need to be clean and not overly decorative. I think Production type has a lot of good fonts for that. So cool. we can get more into it later if you guys want to know, but yeah.
I'm also taking notes here.
Of course. So I think we're going to use the most Swiss fonts. Swiss. It's actually called Swiss. I think we're going to use maybe Swiss Book. I have the trial here because I haven't bought the license for it yet. So let's just use the Swiss trial. And then maybe I'm going to purchase this tonight. Let's do condensed light. Because editorial is a condensed serif, I want to use a condensed body font that kind of matches it, but feels more easy to read than a condensed serif. So I feel that Swiss condensed is a nice merge of interesting condensed typography and Swiss, you know. So let's just.
Simon is also saying, taking notes.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
Another thing that we're going to do with our types is I'm not going to have hyphens. I don't like hyphens. Yeah, it's just, I like to avoid hyphens. So if you go over here in InDesign, one thing I've noticed is that clients also never want hyphens because they just want it to be easy to read, and hyphens can cause some trepidation.
Why would you break a word into 2 lines where you have to go from the end of one line to the beginning of the next? I mean, that's totally confusing.
It can be confusing. Yeah, exactly. I've had to do many revisions of removing hyphens over the years. So I've gotten really good at just setting it up without hyphens.
That's very useful tool, right?
Yeah, it saves time. So in InDesign over here, there's a little bar, and it might be in different places depending on what your workspace is. But over here in hyphenation, you can just unclick hyphenate, and it's going to make sure that nothing gets hyphenated, which is really, really nice.
Cool.
So this is our type system. It doesn't look like much now, but I promise you it's going to come together and it's going to look cool.
So we have the header, the subheader, and the body typefaces, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then, how do you call the 4th one?
This would be the paragraph.
Paragraph, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So I'm going to use character styles. I find it to be just like I don't use them religiously, to be honest with you. It really depends on my mood or also the project and what it requires, but I'm going to use them today because it's just going to give me a standard that's going to make it easier for me. So character styles are here, or they're up here in window, type in tables, or sorry, styles, and then character styles. So I'm going to make this a character style. And character styles are really useful. You've probably used them before, but if you haven't, I'm going to show you why they're awesome. You just highlight your text and press the plus button to make a new character style. Character styles are cool because let's say that you just, put in a lorem ipsum. You click character style 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it's going to convert your text right to that style that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And the character style is not only saving the typeface, it's also saving the size and the kerning and all the settings that you've preset for this specific character style. So that's really, really useful. And we have a question here by Ryan. Ryan is asking, I have a day job where I've been working from home since March. I'm really thinking working for freelance with agencies to do one-off projects, posters, murals, etc. Is more of what I want to do. How does one get into that kind of work?
It's a really good question. I think the best thing you can do is don't quit your day job yet. That's my advice anyways. But if you want to live on the edge, do it. But what I did is, it's kind of funny. When I was like 19, 20, I was just learning to become a designer. And I was working at a photo studio, retouching photos, like batch retouching e-commerce photos. It was not the most exciting job, but I would get my work done really, really quickly. And then I would design things for local gigs, local shows, local punk shows or rock and roll shows. And I would get paid like $30 a poster. And I did that for like 3 years. And
it's a great exercise.
It is, but you know what? I networked so much while doing it, and I met so many people. And after so many years doing it, people came to me for design because they knew that's what I did. And I was able to do it while still having a steady income. Obviously, it's a lot of work, but I think in order to be able to make a living off doing creative work like posters and murals and stuff, you need to build up that network of people who know that you do that. You need to create your style. You need to create a style that people look up to and respect and want for themselves. So it's just good to do that side hustle until it grows and is big enough for you to launch into it full time. I think that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, totally. Be smart about it. Don't quit your day job yet. Just leave yourself some space at the end of the day to practice and just stay behind it and really keep on doing, keep on working towards your goal. And another question by Mariana is, did you go to college or university?
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is a funny story. I went to university for history and political science. I never went to school for design, which is, people find that hard to believe, but Yeah, I never went to school for design. I taught myself everything. So I started doing design when I was about 10 years old on like Corel Draw. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was way back in like the early days of the internet. And I was a kid just having fun on my computer. And I taught myself how to design. I started using Photoshop in like really early Photoshop. Oh my gosh, maybe like 2004 Photoshop. So pretty early days. And yeah, so I've been teaching myself design since I was a kid. I would compete in like local web design competitions and stuff. And then I paid my way through university by doing design. And then I was like, you know what? It just makes sense for me to be a designer, I guess.
It was obvious. You're paying your way into history university with design.
Well, I was going to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer for a long time. But eventually it was just like, this is not going to work. You should just be a designer.
Were you intimidated by the idea of working with a designer and not being taken seriously by your family members?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was young, my parents never wanted me to be a designer because they didn't think they didn't want me to do it. And my mom and my dad now have like really changed their ways. Like now they're so supportive of my career, and they're always there like cheering me on. But I think back then in like the 2000s, it was scary because you didn't know what that was going to look like as a job, you know?
Yeah. And my parents are also totally medical background. My whole family is all in medicine.
Right.
So it was really hard to kind of step out of the family culture to do my own path. So yeah, it's always a challenge, but if you're really passionate about it, you should totally do it, right? So
definitely. Yeah. Like it takes a lot of work, a lot of determination and focus and passion. But if you love it, do it. Like just go for it. Just a heads up, right now I'm making my grid. So to do that, I'm going to my master pages up here. I'm going to layout, margins, and columns, and then I'm going to do 6 columns on each page. I prefer 6 because it's 6 over here and 6 over here, so it's 12 in total. And then my gutter is 0.25. I like to have a bit of a wider gutter because otherwise your paragraphs are just too close together. So this is going to be our master page. I'm going to set a background color. I think I'm just going to do, let's see, like a creamy white, like a creamy white. I always like to do creamy whites because they feel less harsh than a flat white. Okay. So.
Just any off-white, I feel like is better than just white, right?
Exactly. So this is our master page. So we're going to put our titles on both pages. And I like to do titles because it gives it a bit more of like a complex design aesthetic, as you'll see. So our title is How to Survive a Pandemic. Not that I know, guys. Seriously, I'm still figuring it out.
You know, I also started learning design actually with InDesign. And
really?
That was because, so I went to university for industrial design, which had nothing to do with graphics, except that by the end of the semester, you'll have to, give to your professor like a documentation of your work. So we will take pictures of the things that we've designed or that we've built, and then we will put them into an editorial design, like a brochure or like a booklet. So that's how I started graphics, and I never went to school for graphic design. I also taught it to myself, but I started off in InDesign, which I think is a great software to start learning. Things together, images and text, and just experimenting.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, but once you go into depth and start working, let's say in branding or packaging, that's when you start using Illustrator. That's when you really go into detail, into the vector of things.
That's right.
And that can get quite complex, right?
Yeah, it can. But the great thing about the Adobe softwares is that once you sort of know the language of one of them, it can get a lot easier to adapt to different softwares. Even going from like After Effects to XD to InDesign, like it gets easier because you start understanding the user interface, which is really helpful.
Yeah. Some of the shortcuts are the same, also,
zooming
in and out. And then also, we'll always have the pen tool where we can draw a vector.
That's
we have the direct selection tool. and so on. So many things are very similar. So I agree, once you're in one software, you can totally jump into the other platforms. And
exactly.
yeah, I also, yeah, cool.
But yeah, it's like you were saying, coming from industrial design to graphic design it makes sense. I feel like as long as you have an eye, whether you're in fashion design or industrial design or graphic design, as long as or interior design, if you have that eye, you tend to be able to shift it from field to field, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if I should put page numbers. I don't really want to be honest. So I think I'm gonna leave no page numbers today. Okay, I'm just gonna refine this a little bit. I think it's gonna look better at 13 points, 12 points. Okay. So this is a Swiss font. This is the Swiss font, Swiss International. It's just book, it's not condensed. I might change it to condensed later, but I think I like it like this for now. So let's jump into the design, I suppose. The cover, let's leave the cover until tomorrow, because I think that's gonna be fun to do tomorrow. That's like our second day. Okay. So let's get right into the actual editorial design and all of the different tips. And each one is going to have an interesting photographic and typographic layout. So if you're interested in magazine design, this is going to be super cool because you get to see how to use type and photographs in dynamic ways. So
number 9 sticks out to me.
Number 9, get a divorce.
I think that's hilarious.
Everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it. But I think we'll start with Greek mythology, because I put this one on Instagram yesterday, and we'll just start with refresh your Greek mythology.
That's awesome.
Because it's always fun. I don't know. I find Greek mythology to be so interesting. So I'm just going to paste that in there. I'm going to go to my character styles. Character style number 1.
Ruthwick is saying, I need this list.
Yeah, well, hopefully when this is over, we'll all have some new activities. So yeah. I'm just holding down Shift and Command to resize my text proportionally. And then I'm going to adjust my leading, which is like the line heights between the words. So let's make this really short. I like to keep it nice and tight. There is some kerning that should be done here, for example, the U, but I'm not going to do it right now because I just feel like there's more important things to do. So we're going to push this down, and we're going to integrate photographs in this, which is going to be really fun and hopefully some cool layouts. So I want to put a photograph here, as well as here. And let's just expand our text box here. The reason I wrote this one was because I read this great book called Circe during the pandemic that was about Greek mythology, and I was like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. I forgot how much I like this stuff. So these are all the photos from today that we're going to be using. So most of these are actually from Life magazine, which are for personal use, they're not for commercial use. But interestingly, if you are curious about life photography, if you go to Google and you type in, any historical event, and then you type in source life, you can see some really beautiful historical photos. So this is one of the Greek ones here.
Anime Elephant is saying mythology is often what I base my artwork on.
Oh, wow, that's so nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. And Jatermia is asking, what's your favorite story from Greek mythology?
My favorite story from Greek mythology. Well, I'm going to say Circe because that's just the book that I read, which is really beautiful. But Circe incorporates a whole bunch of other stories. So like the Minotaur, it incorporates the ships, like I forget the monster's name, who lives on the island, and she eats everyone who comes by the island. She's sort of like this betrayed woman. No, it's not Medusa. I forget her name now, but it's a really beautiful story. Obviously, I love the one where the guy flies too close to the sun, because I think we can all learn from that one. It's an important lesson as well. Let me see here. There's another
Super
photo.
cool. It's awesome to have, you know, some kind of very specific knowledge. So when someone asks you, you can actually give an answer, because I have no idea. I would not know how to answer that.
Well, I should probably know better, but I had a photo here, guys. I'm just looking for it because it doesn't seem to be in my, doesn't seem to be over here. I'm just looking for it. So many photographs for this project. So I appreciate your patience as I find it. Not this one. It should be called a Greek. Just gonna do a quick search. Nope.
Ruthwick is saying Persephone story is cool.
Persephone.
I'm saying Persephone.
Oh, no worries. No,
Persephone.
Honestly, Greek words are so hard to know. Persephone is she goes to the underworld, right? And she's like the reason for the seasons.
Oh, okay.
So when Persephone goes to Hades, that's when we have winter. I think that's the one. Where is this photo, you guys? I'm so sorry.
Udaval is saying, I actually have been slowly working on a tarot card deck inspired by the menu system designs from Destiny. The UI UX in that game is unbelievable.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I can't seem to find the photo. So we're just going to use this one 3 times and then I'll find it later for us. So basically I'm going to resize this proportionally so that it's just over the R like that, and it should be equal.
Can you tell us the shortcut that you use to resize proportionally?
Yep, you just hold down Shift and Command, and it should resize it proportionally there. Gonna move that in. So you can see it creates this kind of nice system. And then we're going to paste this over here as well. So I'm going to use a different photo here, but for now.
That looks super cool. It's super integrated into the typeface.
Yeah, it's like a nice way to make your typography a bit more interesting, incorporating photos like this. Yeah, I think this looks good. This is our first tip for isolation. Refresh your Greek mythology. It's a fun one.
Cool. Yeah, okay. I love it. And are you planning to keep it more on the black and white side, or are you going to add some color later on?
I think we should add some color. Let's do a colored slide now, actually. Let's do it. So let's duplicate our master because I don't want to use too many colors. I want to use red. I'm really into like red right now, and I want to use red for everything. So
I've also used a very similar red in my recent project.
Nice. I mean, it's so good. I'm surprised it wasn't one of the Pantone colors of the year, honestly, because I think it's going to be popular.
It's interesting how the Pantone color of the year is actually a combination of 2 colors this year. I really like that fact. I think it's interesting.
Was it the blue and the yellow? Was that what it was?
It's yellow and like a light gray.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's true. Yeah, interesting. That's interesting. So you know what? Let's create a swatch library. I think that's going to be a good idea. That way we don't have to, we can have them all in one place.
Yay, love colors.
So
love swatches.
Actually, let's create it on a new master just so that I'll delete it after. So we're going to have our cream color. Actually, I don't remember what that is.
Let's quickly mention what the masters are for and how you create them and how you apply them.
So masters are how you create a sort of guiding design, a header, a footer, your page number throughout your documents. So we've got A master, B master, C master up here. This way, everything that's on the master is going to be on your actual pages. So you can see here, this has got A master, A master, A master, A master. But if I wanted to do a black master, I just duplicate it, create this master, and then I just drag it down. And then this is going to be that master now. So
and then it shows that it's the C master applied to that spread. So basically those are presets that you can apply to the spread. And right now Anjela created 4 different presets, and sometimes they come with page numbers or a specific color, a specific layout, and then you can just drag and drop them onto your spread so that specific preset is getting applied. But even if you have created and applied the master to certain pages already, you can still edit the master and it will be edited and adjusted on all the pages. I think that's a really, really cool tool if you're, you know, reusing certain layouts, and if not every page is the same, but you know, you have certain layouts for certain things, right? So one master can be, for example, for the introduction page for the chapter, and one master can be for, you know, pages where you have a lot of text. So I think that's a really good way to kind of optimize your workflow.
Agree. So this is going to be our color palette. It's going to be very sort of bold, mostly black and white, but with a few pages that are going to be red and brown and green. I'm going to just select all of them, go over here and click on the folder to create a new color group. And then this is going to be our palette for this book. Going to delete that. Let's go back up here and make sure that these colors are from our actual swatch book. So we've got this one here. Then we've got our red. And, you know, I might change these colors as I work, but for now, I know that this is sort of like the direction I want to go in. So maybe we'll modify the tones after, but for now it's a good start. So to duplicate our masters, I'm going to delete this one. And then we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to make it the green color, which I love.
Another question, maybe we can clarify, you have different color codes here. I see HSB and CMYK in your swatches. Maybe we can mention what the different color codes are for.
Yeah, that's a good question. If somebody wants to tell me, that would be great. I actually don't know what the HSB is for. RGB is obviously for your screen. It's going to be your red, green, and blue. Then your CMYK is going to be print. But to be honest, the HSB, I'm not really sure. I would love to know. I would love to know as well.
Yeah, I also know I mostly use RGB and CMYK. So CMYK obviously for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, right? Key for black. So those are the 4 colors that the printer produces and mixes up to create your colors. So whenever you're creating a print file, you use CMYK. And if you publish your file digitally, or if you want to, you know, post it on your social media, for example, you use RGB. And
and that's a really good point. Because this document is for print, it should be in CMYK. Which is a great point. But when I set the document up in Illustrator, as you'll see, you've got some options up here for print, web, mobile. So if you're going to click on print, InDesign is going to automatically make it CMYK for you. Whereas if you do it in web, it's going to make it RGB for you. So it saves you a bit of stress.
Yeah, Woodwell is saying HSB stands for hot sauce buns. But actually, Ryan is saying it stands for hue, saturation, and brightness.
Oh, that's so interesting. Hue
Which is also interesting. Yeah,
okay,
it's just, cool. I guess it's just a different way to describe digital color.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, let's do a colored one. Let's do fall into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. It's kind of a fun one. I love going into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Stay there for hours.
Ruthwick is saying hot sauce buns is the Pantone color of the year. You guys are hilarious. I love that conversation.
That's a good one. Okay, so this spread is fall into the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Actually, fall into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Suggestions, mythological creatures, cults, common misconceptions, D.A. Cooper, Stonehenge. These are all just some cool rabbit holes you can go in. To keep it interesting, I'm going to do a light font here. Let's see, fall into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. And then I think we can make our type a little bit bigger here. Cool. Let's see what we can do. Adjust our leading. And then, okay.
That's awesome.
You guys get to see me in my design position is always like hunched over my laptop. Like
Same, I think it's the same thing for everybody.
Yep. It's not very I should work like this, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, we should, but we never do.
Never do. Okay, I think I'm just going to loosen the kerning a little bit because it's a bit too tight. And then the same here. I kind of want it to be, I do want it to be tight, but not so that you can't read it. That's not good.
Do you have that sometimes when you select the text and then the color looks so cool? You're like, oh my God, this is the perfect contrast, because it's always showing the perfect contrast, right?
For sure, yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, that looks great. I'm just going to apply this color, you know, behind the text as a, you know, as a background color for the text.
Yeah. So this is DB Cooper. So we're gonna create kind of like a little, like a playful layout here. I kind of want to use borders on my images. So let me just see quickly. I'm gonna add a black border, or actually I'll use the black from my swatch group because it's not quite black. It's more of a charcoal. And then we're going to do 3. I'm going to put that behind the text. I think maybe I'll make this a tiny bit smaller.
Cool. Umacorn is saying, I really like that font, the editorial one. Yeah, I love it.
It's a great one.
It's awesome.
And then we have a photo of Stonehenge that we're going to add.
That's cool. I see you dragging and dropping an image and then creating a frame for it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool way to drag and drop images into InDesign.
Yeah, it makes it really easy, honestly, because you don't have to normally you could press Command D to import, but it's just way easier to drag and drop it in from a folder. See what's cut can go. And
the difference, the interesting thing about, you know, placing an image into InDesign versus Illustrator is that in InDesign it always comes with, you know, with a frame, basically, like like when you mask things, right? You create a frame and then you mask the image, and in InDesign it already comes with it. So whenever you double click on the image, you can adjust the frame, you can place the image, you can zoom into the image, and you know, just play around with that. So
just like this one, see how it has this kind of awkward white border? One of my favorite features about InDesign is being able to just click this inner circle, which is going to select the image within the frame, and then you can drag it so that you can just hide those parts of the image so it's cleaner. And then you just create your border. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller.
It looks great.
There we go.
It's very cohesive in the direction, you know, always reusing the black color in the borders.
Yeah, and that's one of the tricks, because we're only using one font in this whole document. So how do you keep that one font interesting? It's kind of a fun challenge, but I think this looks pretty cool. I like it. You can see how there's like cohesion between these two slides, even though it's different colors, different weights.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do another one. Let's do another one.
Graphic was saying that pink looks pretty good on that green. That's what I was thinking as well earlier.
Yeah, and then, I think it looks good too.
Yeah, and Kevin is saying, Angela, I watched your last Adobe live stream and fell in love with your work. So glad you're back on here showcasing more of your amazing designs and workflow. Oh,
thank you so much. That's really sweet. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here, honestly. This is such a great community, really creative. Like, as somebody who has been doing this for 10 years, I just really appreciate like the hustle of everybody in this community. Okay, the next one we're going to do is grow a garden. Maybe what we should do is like mark these as bold when they're done. That way we know that they're finished. So let's see, which one do we have so far? Refresh your Greek mythology. And then we did the Wikipedia rabbit hole. So this one, this is a beautiful photo. It is from Magda Indigo. That's the photographer. Just gonna make it bigger using the frame again. So let's do a white frame on this one because we're just going to invert it essentially, and we're going to make it 6. So when the photo is going to be like a large photo, it's going to be a weight of 6. And when it's smaller like this, it's going to be a weight of 3. Just to keep it consistent, I always like to work with math. And you know, I think I want to make this black even blacker. So let's go back into our master. There we go. Okay, so let's do our text.
Cool. David is asking, what typeface is it that you're using right there? And I believe it was editorial, right?
Yep, it's editorial, exactly.
Editorial.
Well, this one here in the master is Swiss, but the one that we're using throughout the book is editorial, and you can purchase that through Pangram. It's really beautiful fonts, really affordable fonts.
Cool. And Jotermia also has a question. Would you suggest making the layout flexible enough to incorporate both portrait and landscape tab images? I sometimes struggle with that because I have to adjust the layout according to dimensions.
Yeah, I think you can definitely, there's so much, one of the great things about having a grid like this is that you can really play however you want. And I will do an example shortly of a horizontal layout so you can see. It's really about utilizing the grid system and the photographs in ways that keep it feeling consistent, but also dynamic in terms of horizontal or vertical. Yeah, great question. So we'll explore that in a minute.
Yeah, we have some amazing questions here. And if you're just joining us, also, if you're joining us from YouTube, make sure to head over to be.net/live. This is where I'm actually reading the chat, and this is where you can ask questions. Angela, sorry. I always say Angela because I have a friend who's named that way.
Okay.
And Angela is always happy to answer questions. So make sure to head over to be.net/live. This is where we are at right now. Mm-hmm. And Ruthwick is also asking, are zines still a thing? Or zines?
Are zines still a thing?
Zines. Still a thing. Like, do people still make and sell them as much as they used to a few years ago?
I don't think well, I feel like zines have in many ways been replaced by sort of vlogs or blogs and forums and internet communities or Reddit forums. I'm sure there are some people out there making some like killer zines, but I'm not super familiar with. But you know, Row & Co. is an agency in New York, and they make a beautiful magazine. It's kind of like a contemporary version of a zine. It's called Romance Journal, and it's really beautiful. It's really well designed. So I feel like there's definitely some good stuff out there that feels zine-like. So I think
Jessica is also saying there are e-zines as well. So basically digital versions. Cool.
Definitely. So this is our second spread. So again, we're using the font, but in a different way. You know, it's instead of all uppercase like it is here, we're going to start integrating lowercase.
And it's beautiful in lowercase. I love it.
Yeah, it's really nice in lowercase as well. So it's nice to find a font that's versatile like that.
I also love how you use the top part of the D to fill in the white space between the O and the W.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out that well, but
in this case,
yeah, for sure. So let's do another one. I think let's do politics. I think this is a good one. Get involved in politics, run for office. I feel like this year has been a very political year. We're all really engaged. So I think one of the best things to do is actually run for office or, you know, get involved. That sounds dramatic. My partner Terry just laughed at me, but I do think it's really great. We need more people to get involved in politics, like grassroots and municipalities and towns and stuff, you know?
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So let's do this one.
I've heard that so many times this year from friends and family. I should run for president.
Oh my gosh. That's an ambitious one.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's see. Let's do this one. Get involved in politics. So I think for this one, we're going to do something a bit different. I'm going to open my Illustrator. And normally when I'm just playing in Illustrator, I'll make a document that's like 24 by 18 inches. Just
poster size, right?
Yep, poster size, exactly. And I'm going to make an arc, almost like a door with an arc over it. So to do that, I create an ellipse. So hold down Shift for proportional. I'm going to turn off my stroke. I don't want to stroke. Then I'm going to take my hotkey C, which is scissors, and I'm just going to cut it in half. This is going to give me a semicircle right here, which is really nice. I don't know exactly how long I'm going to need it, so I might need to adjust it. I'm going to take my pen tool, click this dot, hold shift, so it's a straight line over. I'm going to use my snap grids, and then here we go. We have a nice.
That's so funny because you're doing it so differently than I do.
Oh, really?
It's hilarious. Yeah, I think everybody has like their way to do it, but
Definitely.
I usually put a circle and the perfect square, and I place the square right in the middle of the circle, and I just join them.
Yeah, I think there's tons of ways you could do it. That's one of the cool things. It needs to be a bit shorter.
It's interesting though. I don't usually use scissors. I need to use scissors more often. I think you can make some really cool stuff with scissors.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially creating like shapes that are not perfectly formed, or where you have some imperfections, like as if it's really cut out by a child or something. I think that can be really cool to play with. That's a good reminder for me, so thank you.
Of course. So this is a photograph of Shirley Chisholm, which was the first Black woman to ever run for office in Congress in the United States, I believe, or in the House, not the Senate. And she's very inspiring, so I thought she was the perfect person to use for this piece. So we're just going to put her inside the semicircle and make it a bit bigger. And then we're going to add our stroke to it, so 6.
That's very nice. I love that.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel that my margins are a bit tight. This is what happens when you design sometimes. You're like, oh, you know what? I think I gotta change. We'll do it in a minute. But let's start with our type for now. So get involved in politics. I think what we'll do is, okay, this should be minus 75. It's too tight. Let's make our kerning a little bit, or sorry, our leading a bit shorter. And then I'm going to align this one to the right, just for, why not? Why not?
Yeah, makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool. I like it.
BLS saying, love that.
Oh, nice.
Woodval is also saying, this is a really nice spread. And Bruce is saying, very powerful. Cool, awesome.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Woodval is also saying the image fonts and background looks so great together.
Cool, thank you. And I think what we can do here, guys, this is kind of cheating. You probably shouldn't do it this way, but you know what? Whatever. It's a pandemic. We got to do things rough sometimes.
And also, when you're creating yourself guidelines and character styles, those are rules you basically set yourself. And you know, the interesting part is when you actually get to break the rules, because in certain situations, maybe the rules that you set yourself don't work, right? So
exactly,
that's where you have to break them. And that's interesting.
I think we can make this even bigger. Let's just make it bigger and see how that looks.
Yeah, nice and bold. Love it.
Yeah. And then right now, because it doesn't really fit, I'm going to select this space. Again, guys, this might not be the best way to do it, so forgive me. You might just want to create 2 different text boxes, but I'm just going to make the leading shorter so that it fits. There we go. I think that looks really nice. I like the idea of incorporating other shapes. Okay, so before we get too far ahead, I'm going to adjust my margins because they're just too tight. So hopefully it won't take more than 5 minutes. Let's make them 0.75. I think that's fine. Oops, both pages. It's just going to give us more breathing room, and I'm all about that breathing room.
Great.
But
Voodoo is saying breaking the rules is not cheating, it's technique.
True, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you gotta know the rules before you can break them. Okay, let's just do this quickly.
And he's asking what are the quick keys, the hotkeys for doing that resize you just did with the text?
I think I just dragged it. If I do it again, let me know and I'll clarify for you.
Okay.
Layout, margins. Okay, I'm gonna come back and fix that text in a minute. Oh, maybe I can do all of them. Nice. 0.75. Cool.
Cool.
Nice. So,
in case you're just joining us, Anjela Freyja is designing an editorial for how to survive a pandemic, and we're going through all the different tips, and she has over 40 of them on what to do, what you can start doing, you know, any activities that are that you can do during a pandemic. And yeah, really exciting. I'm really loving the way it comes out so far.
it could be really cool if you guys have some tips that we could include into the book. That could be really fun. And then tonight, I can look for those photos that match it.
That's a great idea. So if you guys have any ideas on how to survive a pandemic or any self-care tips or any activities that you've started or that you would, you know, recommend anybody else to start during a pandemic, shoot them into the chat and we'll take notes, and then we can implement those into the magazine. Or into the book.
You all definitely have some because you've survived thus far.
Yeah, right?
Not that it's been easy, I'm sure. Okay, so we have that fixed up, which is great. As you can see now, our work is kind of wonky, so I'm going to make this a group. Command G, it's going to make it easier to move around. And then I think that's still okay. That's still okay. And then I didn't explain this, but this down here is just going to be a little paragraph text where we can include a little write-up about, you know, the benefits of botany or whatever the subject is, you know. And then let's move this in. Okay. And then same here because it's too tight.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. I have seen those arcs so often recently on social media. I feel like it's an element that's being used very frequently. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, I'm going to make this shorter. There we go. Cool. All right, so let's do another one. Maybe I will do, I'm just looking through my notes here. Maybe we could do a horizontal layout. That could be nice, or how to incorporate horizontal photos.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And Kim Huang just joined us and saying, hi, Angela.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining. So we have, I think the next one we'll do is, we have Grow a Garden. We have Get Involved in Politics. Let's do.
That's cool. Lana is saying, I've only arrived now, but illustration. I illustrated a lot during lockdown. I agree.
Illustrating, yeah, definitely.
Same here.
Yeah, that's true. Let's do Reconnect with Nature. So let's add some text.
Golden is saying meditation prayer, lots of bacon, butter, eggs, and beef. Adobe Live, free online classes, beautiful plants, home workouts, creating a home spa. Those are all really great tips. I think we should definitely put those down, and I'm gonna take some notes on the side while you're creating, so I can send them over to you. I think those are some really cool things. Like creating a home spa, I think is amazing.
Oh my gosh, creating a home spa, that's a good idea. I want a home spa.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so in this one, I'm going to show how to do horizontal. I mean, there's many different opportunities for creating horizontal spreads. This is just one of the ways. So let's see what it looks like. I'm just going to start dragging and dropping. Actually, this one's kind of going to use the grid. So let's create... Let's experiment. You know, I don't know if it's going to look perfect, but let's see. I think we can do 4s.
George is asking, does InDesign have clipping masks?
InDesign doesn't have clipping masks, but it doesn't really need it because the way that the border and the photograph works. So for example, you just drag in your picture, you copy it, so Command C, then you click on your square and you paste into. So that's essentially the same thing as a clipping mask, only I like it better than a clipping mask because you don't have all those jangly layers.
Yeah, I agree. And in case you want to place something into a circle or any shape, you can create the shape first and then click Command and D to insert an image, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do this.
Cool. Rufik has a good suggestion also how to survive a pandemic. Clean your room for once.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Have you guys become obsessive with cleaning? Like I have. I cannot deal when my apartment's not clean.
Especially my office.
So
my office space always needs to be perfectly clean. Whenever somebody places any object on my desk, it's like a white minimalistic desk. I go crazy.
Oh man, same with me. But my office is like attached to my living room and kitchen. There's kind of like an open space. And so I have never cleaned so much in my life. Honestly, I've never cleaned so much in my life. Okay, let's see.
Yeah. The pandemic made us do a lot of interesting changes.
Yeah, definitely have. But what do you guys think? Like, are you guys looking forward to going back to offices? Are you done with offices? Like it's going to be all from home from now on?
Yeah, I'd love to know what you guys are thinking, especially if you're working for a specific company. It would be interesting to kind of get everybody's inputs and ideas and thoughts on that. I believe that, that we're kind of already set up at home, and there are chances that we are, more likely to work more from home. And why not save the money for the office space? Some of us are probably more productive. Probably depends on the productivity, I would say. Some of us are more productive in the office and some at home. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know, for myself, there's moments when I miss going to an office. Like I miss people. I really miss people. Like I miss my colleagues. I miss joking around about stuff. And especially when you're working for clients, it can be fun to just like joke around about the work. But I miss that dynamic, I miss that sort of like companionship, which doesn't really happen on Zoom.
I agree. I totally agree. Sorry, what'd you say?
We're figuring it out.
Yeah. Umakorn is saying, I've always enjoyed the idea of working from home.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is nice.
Viola is saying, we have found that we are equally as efficient at home.
Interesting.
That's great.
Interesting.
And Alejandro is asking, Angela, I saw you increase the dimension of the photo inside InDesign. I know this is only an exercise, but did you consider this resizing affect the final resolution print?
So as long as your photos are 300 resolution, as long as your photos are like a nice quality, then it shouldn't matter too much how much you resize them. As long as it's 300 DPI, no matter how much I resize it, it should stay high resolution. It should remain unpixelated. So does that answer your question? Oh, I think I'm frozen. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, so we're just going to align the text here. I think this looks quite nice, and hopefully this answers the question of how we can incorporate horizontal photos. Let's add our borders to these. So we've got 7, let's do a border of 3, right? Because this one's going to be 6, and if it's smaller, it's going to be 3. And then let's align this to the top of the photo. And I think we can actually even make it bigger. Here we go. So this is one of the ways that we can do horizontal spreads, but I'll do a few other examples in a second that kind of show you how we can do that a bit more. Let's make this a tiny bit smaller. Here we go. think that looks quite nice. So let's go through them here, because I think when you're doing a magazine, it's important that you maintain a cohesion as you work. Like, you don't want to go too far out of the ballpark with like different weights and stuff. You want to make sure you're always keeping it tight and keeping it the same language, the same visual language. So we've got, I feel like this works well. This is working well. Okay, cool. So let's jump into another one. Let's see, maybe we can do Get a Divorce, because that's kind of a funny one. I appreciate that one. With all the high profile divorces these days, you guys must know. Let's see. Let's do this one in our same font we've been working with mostly, the editorial bold. But I'm thinking for this, we might incorporate another font, and I don't like to do it, but it could be just playful, because it's kind of a playful idea, you know. Make this 75. I kind of want to incorporate a script font here. It's kind of a funny detail. So this is my kind of go-to script font right now. It's Dolcetto. We're going to use regular. And I think script fonts are kind of playful right now. They're kind of gaining popularity. So I think it's nice to incorporate that. And then let's fix our leading so it's a bit tighter. Okay, let's come back to this later. And let's do a brown background for this one. So I'm dragging both master onto 12 and 13. Then just gonna, if you double click the bottom of your text box, double click, it's going to shorten it right to the end of your type, which is really cool. And then let's find this photo. Here we go. This photo again is from the Life archive. Such a beautiful archive of photography from history. Okay, we're going to drag this down, and then let's resize our photo so that it fits the whole spread. Here we go. And then because we're covering the master titles, I'm just going to go into my master and copy it and paste it onto the slide. You know, relationships are hard, guys, and in the pandemic, when you're home all the time, you're in small spaces, it can be tough. It can be tough. Let's see. And then we, just to compensate, we do have another one that says, get married. So we have both. We have both. Have you guys been to any pandemic weddings? I've only been to one pandemic wedding. It was very small. I was actually the maid of honor at a wedding this summer. I was the maid of honor at a wedding, and I couldn't go because the borders were closed. So very sadly. But it was the right thing to do, you know. And then let's integrate our text here. And we're going to make that black. And, you know, right now I'm just using lorem ipsums for the body type, because I'm not sure. I think here I'm going to write little explanations, sort of funny things. I love to write. I feel like writing really complements design really well. It really helps you like nail a concept when you have a nice description. So I'm going to write these little descriptions later, and hopefully they're going to be quite fun. I think for this, what I'll do, let's do like a 2-column text here. And I think I'll include more of these text boxes throughout the project. So if you want to do columns, for example, you just click this little plus red button, and then you drag it so it's aligned. Oh my God, am I online? My stream went down. Did it? Oh, okay. Sorry guys, I'm having some technical difficulties, but we are good. Perfect. Okay, so we'll just keep going. Let me see if I can get this chat here, guys. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, I got the chat here. I have it. I have the chat on Behance. Okay, awesome. One person you know shared their wedding via Zoom. Oh, how is that, by the way? How is it? How is a Zoom wedding? I've never been to a Zoom wedding before. That's funny. InDesign has frames that allow it. Yeah, exactly. It does. I'm just catching up on your chat here, guys. Perfect. Stay positive, get married. Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, some people feel a lot of pressure to have these big fancy weddings with lots of people, and you know, your family gets into arguments because everyone wants to come. And so for some people, I think the pandemic is a nice time to get married because you don't have that pressure of having to have everyone invited. You know, you can just have like your immediate family, your mom, your dad, or something. Cool. I like this one. It's fun. I think this photograph as well, I think this is from like the very first divorce case, because women weren't allowed to get divorces until the 50s, I think. And this is a photograph from like that first legal case where a woman was able to get a divorce, which is kind of a cool historical moment. All right, all right. Okay, so we have got this one done. Maybe we could do, some of these are quite good. Maybe we could do, this is a funny one. Doom scroll until you are very sad. TikTok scroll until you are very happy. I do that. I'll go on Twitter and then I'll get like really depressed, and I'll go on TikTok and I'll get kind of happy again. Let's do this one, become a web sleuth. I haven't designed this one, so let's improv it and see how it goes. The photograph I'm going to use is, let's go to my desktop. This one here, because I think it's kind of funny. Okay, let's see, how should we design this one? This is a horizontal photo as well. Yeah, the photos are from Life Archive, and Google actually has a connection with Life Archive. They have all their photos as part of like this Google image database, which is really nice. So if you Google anything, if you Google like any historical moment, and then you put next to it source life, you're gonna have all sorts of cool results. Kevin asks, Angela, can you give us an update on your Ferme collection line? What are some of your goals for 2021 in regards to your own work? Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking. So for those of you who don't know, I started a clothing line back in April of this year, or March, when the pandemic was first sort of coming to North America. And the goal of the collection was to raise money for Meals on Wheels. And just a quick pause there. Someone asked what a web sleuth was. A web sleuth is somebody who tries to like solve crimes on the internet. It's kind of a fun thing. I wish I had time to be a web sleuth, honestly. But yeah, so we launched the clothing line in March, and I launched it on a whim. Like, it was just one piece of clothes that we sold through Everpress, and then it did really well. People were demanding it all over the place, and so I decided to make my own website and move my production locally. And now we have like a fully blown clothing brand, which is really cool. And last year we actually donated, or the end of this year, which was just about a week ago, we donated over $30,000 to food insecurity charities, which is really amazing. So we donated to Meals on Wheels, Feeding America, Red Cross Mexico, Red Cross Canada. We made some pretty big donations. So, well, I didn't, all of our customers did, like all of us did together. So it was really, really cool. And 2021, we've got some big plans. So we've got a whole new collection coming. I never really imagined the collection would change from just we really did it to raise money for charity, and now we have a fully functional clothing brand. So our business model is changing. We're now an incorporated company, which is really exciting. And we've got home goods coming out. We've got blankets. We have an essentials collection coming. So we've got hoodies, crew necks, jogging pants, shorts, just for like really comfortable, nice quality loungewear. We've got boxers and high-waisted underwear and bras. Yeah, so everything's in production right now, actually. So we're currently going through all of that, all those motions. We have a new website that's being designed and developed. So yeah, we've got lots of stuff coming this year, which I'm really excited about. Just reading your comments, guys. Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, Kim Huang, who's in our chat, she's been so supportive of Firme. She's been so wonderful to have on our side, honestly. Golden Rose, so thank you, Kim. Just wanted to say thank you. And then Golden Rose asks to repeat the historical connections. Yeah, so Google searches, I can actually show you if you guys are curious. Google searches has this really great thing. So let's say that you want to look at protest and then source Life. Life magazine is a historical magazine in the United States. You go to images and it's going to show you all of these beautiful photos that Google has archived from historical moments. So if we click on it, this is the Life archive over here, and you can search for anything that you want, which is really, really nice. There's all sorts of cool stuff. So let's say that we want to search for, courthouse, maybe you're interested in like law or something. The search isn't very accurate, I'm not gonna lie, but there is a really rich archive of photos here that you can explore. Marilyn Monroe, all sorts of historical moments. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so become a web sleuth. How can we make this layout a bit more interesting? I think we should add some paragraph type to this. Here we go. I think that looks kind of cool. Let's just try something new. Sometimes what I'll do when I'm experimenting with layouts is just copying and pasting them so I can compare them and see which one I like better. So let's see here. What if we did like a full screen like this, and then it would be just her eyes. Make it a bit bigger. It's cool. And then we'll align this text over here. Cool, perfect. Become a web sleuth. So funny. I really love like true crime dramas and stuff. And I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary on Netflix, like Don't F with Cats. That was like, it was like solved by web sleuths. It was a really good documentary that's set in Montreal, actually, where I'm from. It was really horrible crime. But the web sleuths in this documentary were so bright and so on point, and they solved it essentially. Like they were so on it. So I became kind of interested in web sleuthing after that film. Okay, what one do you guys like better? This one or this one? I kind of like this one better, I think. Kim says that dog killed me. Yeah, me too. I couldn't get over it. Okay, let's keep the first one. Okay, so we'll delete this one and let's do another one. So we have become a web sleuth. Done. Let's see, how about become a mixologist? I like this one. Have you guys been like making cocktails in quarantine? I started making old fashions. I learned how to make an old fashioned, which is really fun. I've always enjoyed old fashions, but I've never known how to make them. So I taught myself how to make them. Become a mixologist. I have a really nice photo for this one. This is a photo by George Marks. Kind of like a classic 50s cocktail. And then make that 6. Crantini. Yeah, I mean, some people have gotten really good at making cocktails. My recycling bin was embarrassing. Yeah, mine too. No stress. Okay, let's see if we can make this. Let's see how big we can make this. Yeah, old fashioned is my favorite too. Baking, yeah. What is another cocktail I learned how to make, like Fuego Frescos. That's a really specific name, but I love like a margarita, a spicy margarita. It's super good. I haven't mastered that recipe yet, but I would like to. It's kind of cool. Let's see. I kind of like how minimal this one is. Like it's not super intense. And then let's add some paragraph to this as well. Okay, marriage is the first step to divorce. Oh my, you guys are funny. Okay. Let's make this over here. Okay, this is nice. I like this spread. I think this is like a really nice activity too, like learning how to make your own cocktails. I've also been really interested in like non-alcoholic cocktails. Like there's this awesome brand called Kin. They actually don't ship to Canada, which makes me really sad because I can't have access to it, but it's this idea of like euphorics, and they just make you feel like really chill or really talkative, and it's not alcohol based, which is a really nice idea. Okay, this looks nice. I like this one. Cool. Let's see. Become a mixologist. So we can mark this one off our list. How about we learn French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, etc. Your choice. This is cool. Have you guys done any language studies? I've been studying Spanish a lot. I really, really would love to be fluent in Spanish. Ryan Reynolds owns Aviation Gin. I had no idea. Wow. Okay, character styles. I feel like a lot of celebrities are owning alcohol companies now. Okay, so let's see. We've got learn French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. I would love to learn Chinese, honestly. That would be really nice.
Japanese was really interesting to me recently. Hi guys, by the way, I'm back. Sorry, I had an internet outage, so that's the reason why I was gone for a little while.
Oh, no worries.
But I'm back, and you're doing a great job. Cool. Yeah, I'm actually working on a Japanese-inspired project. I think I might have mentioned that. And yeah, it's been interesting to kind of learn about the culture while working on the project. And I would love to understand the the language when I'm actually writing something.
Yeah. Let's see here. So we're going to incorporate photos into this one as well, just like we did with the Greek one, just like we did with this one. I think we're gonna need a green one soon, but let's incorporate photos. So let's see. We have got French cuisine. I've got photos that kind of correspond to the different cuisines, but it's about languages. It's just a fun way to keep it corresponding. So French, Spanish, Chinese. Let's incorporate our photo. So this is for French, obviously. It's fromage. I'm like obsessed with
fromage.
Yeah.
What was saying a while Julia appears. Yep, that's me. Colin is saying, welcome back, Julia. Thanks, guys. Thanks. We're trying our best here to be present for you. Hey, Marsha is saying Julia went for a cocktail. I wish. I was wildly restarting my router. Cool. God save the day. Yay.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. Then we've got, I think we just have 2 photos for this one, actually. This is for Chinese food. And I think this one we can make it like maybe horizontal. And then let's put it over here.
This is awesome. And if you guys have any questions for Anjela about freelancing, about working with agencies, she's really experienced at that. So
yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions
into the chat. Be glad to ask. And me too. I'm also freelancing since over 5 years now, probably 5.5 years. But not as experienced as you with your 10-year.
So freelancing is not easy because you're not only the designer, you're also the business manager. You have to do all your own invoices. You're doing your project management. Like it's tough, no?
Exactly.
I think we need a third photo for this, but I'm just going to put a placeholder there for now because I don't have a third photo to replace it with. So we'll just put this here. Perfect. And I think our leading is going to have to be a bit less tight for these photographs.
It's looking great. I'm loving the white on black typeface as well. This typeface is just working so well. And here's also a question. Grace is asking what typeface this is. This is still editorial, right?
It's still editorial, yep. And editorial. All of the weights are editorial, which is nice.
That's awesome. Really, yeah, it's an amazing typeface. I need to just explore it for myself as well.
Oh, just in case you guys are curious, the House just voted to impeach President Trump.
Oh. Yay!
Yay!
Maria's saying, Anjela, you should save the file.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much for that reminder.
Recently, something really, really terrible happened to me. So sometimes when you have the, I'll just save on, and the file gets too big, for some reason, it's difficult to kind of save the file, and then it doesn't get saved anymore automatically. So yeah, I had a whole client project that unfortunately some of the things I had to redo again. So yes, guys, please save your file. This is so important.
Yeah, Command S
all the time. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point.
I've been wanting to make a t-shirt that says Command S on it, just so I remember it whenever I go to the bathroom, wash my hands, just always save the file. I think that would be a great idea for a t-shirt.
I think so too. Command S, honestly, it's so important. I'm normally pretty good at it, but I think because I'm live streaming, I'm distracted. So let's do, the next one we can do is reading. Read all the books you've ever wanted to. I love this one. Let me see if I can find it here. Read all the books you've ever wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of books I want to read. There was a question that I just got asked from, who asked the question? If it was hard to get a job without a design degree. It was hard. I had to work a lot of not great jobs for a few years before I could build up my portfolio to get hired. So it's not impossible, but I definitely had to work really hard. I didn't work the best jobs. Like I said, I did a lot of photo editing for many years. And my first kind of design job was actually at a music festival called Pop Montreal, which is a great music festival in Montreal. And I had designed this crazy resume that was done in the style of the festival. And I was basically like, you need to hire me. I didn't give them a choice. I was
That's
please
awesome.
Hire me. And then
that's a great way to approach a client also. I think just, show your passion about what they're doing, and then create something for them. And the chances are really, really high that they're actually going to hire you for the job.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter if you're not like the best designer yet, because I would rather, like even now, I'd rather hire somebody who is like passionate and eager to learn and is excited about the job than someone who is really experienced and, you know, doesn't necessarily has already knows a lot. Like I'd rather work with someone who's really passionate and eager, because you know that they're going to work hard and try their best, and that's more important than anything.
Totally agreed.
Okay,
cool. And Zoe's asking, what type is that sans serif on the green background that says how to survive in the pandemic? I think it was Swiss, yeah. Right?
Swiss, exactly. Swiss. Okay. Let's do this in light.
Leo's saying, shocked autosave hasn't made it yet to InDesign. I'm pretty sure there are some settings to autosave.
Yeah, I think there is. I've had autosave on InDesign before.
Yeah, I think it should be somewhere in the settings and then file handling, something like that. Cool. Jeremy is saying, I'm going to put a large poster that says save in red over my PC screen. Or just make it a screensaver. That's awesome. That's a great idea.
Okay, let's try some of these photos and see how they look. I think I might try like 3 photos stacked here. I mean, one of the fun things is just to experiment. This isn't client work, it's independent project for myself. So I'm just gonna have fun and try different layouts, see what works.
Yeah, that's the fun part about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Kim is asking a question. What do you think is the best way for someone who wants to get better at editorial design, improve at it? For marketing purpose, i.e. brand books, media kit, are there any courses that you recommend?
Courses that I recommend, not so much courses. No, I don't really know a lot of courses, but I think I would recommend, honestly, just practicing, like practice. Research. I mean, I feel that Arena, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Arena. Arena is kind of like Pinterest, but it's more design focused, more design stuff on there. So I would definitely recommend getting an Arena account, exploring. There's so much good stuff on Arena, honestly. It's a really great website. And like Pinterest is awesome, and I spend a lot of time on Pinterest for sure. But Arena just seems to be a bit more contemporary, more edgy design, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would recommend exploring Arena. There's a lot of really cool editorial design on Arena as well. So it's great inspiration. And just practice based on inspiration, you know?
Yeah. And also, I think experimenting is important. Not just, you know, recreating things that already exist, but just, you know, just make it your own. There is literally no rules, and you can just do anything you want with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And Long Boy is asking, Anjela, what has been some of your influences? Any designers, artists to draw from? Any source? I see a lot of history here.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Hi, Long, by the way. I know Long. Inspiration, definitely, like obviously I've always looked up to Massimo Vignelli as a designer, such like classic, clean Swiss work. He's sort of like the pioneer of modern design as we know it, honestly. So he's always been an inspiration to me. Polisher at Pentagram is a big inspiration for me as well. I'm actually working at Pentagram now, and it's kind of like an honor to work with such amazing creative directors and art directors. They're visionaries, honestly. They're so good. So that's a big inspiration for me. Let me think, who else? Teo, my partner, is pointing to him. Yeah, he's a really good designer, by the way. I'll plug his work, Teo Zamudio. It's really, really, really good work.
How can we find him?
TeoZamudio.com. World Creation Network. What do you think? Worldcreation.network. This is Teo's work. Honestly, it's insane. Like it's so good. Their work is so good.
Definitely take a look.
Yeah, it's
once I have my internet back.
yeah, Michael Beirut, another great designer from Pentagram, so good. And then there's a lot of, obviously, like back in the day, I really looked up to Anagrama, which is a Mexican agency. I feel like I learned
love them.
Anagrama. They were the first ones who really made that sort of like branding book a common thing on Behance especially. So definitely learned a lot from Anagrama. I would say Roanne Adams from Row & Co. She's one of like the main women in design right now, and she's so talented. So definitely look up to Roanne a lot as well.
That's awesome. Also love the work of Jessica Welsh.
Yeah,
Stefan
definitely.
Meister. I think they're great too.
Agreed, yeah. This one is nice. I kind of like how minimal it is. It's cool. It's nice to like break up because this is such big bold type, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be able to break it up with a bit more of a lightweight font.
Totally.
And I think one thing that I will do just to keep us a little bit tighter, and this might be neurotic, but I think it's a nice detail, is to just make sure that your margins are the same under your type. So that way the content starts on the same space on every page.
Yeah, that's definitely a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Zoe has a question also. So if a job you want says they want someone very interested in type and you are, but your portfolio and past work experience doesn't really show it, what can you do to convince them?
I don't know. I think that's a tough one. I think that you need to, well, you could try talking to them, you know, and telling them that you're passionate about it. But I think the more convincing thing to do would just take some time and do some independent type work, you know, make a magazine like this one that I created, do a project on your own, a few of them that allow you to experiment with type and show them like, hey, I got this, look at what I made. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I'd also recommend, I think there is a big power in passion projects. And I think you can really determine the direction where you want to work. So I always recommend people, you know, my followers or whoever asks me about it, I always recommend creating 2 or 3 passion projects with a topic, with a concept that you really, really feel inspired by. And that will also help you to kind of determine the direction you want to go. What kind of industry do you want to work for, right? So once you determine that, it will be also easier for you to find the right companies, the right agencies to work for. And also, once you present the work, they will also be convinced that you are the right fit, right? Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, big power, big go-to passion projects.
Yeah, totally agree. It's so true. And most of my projects that actually, not all of them, but a good chunk of them that have done well were all passion projects. Like if you look at my website, oh, that's not the right URL. If you look at my website, there's a lot of stuff here that's passion projects. 10 Years of Type was a passion project. Ferme was a passion project. Flags of America was a passion project. Be on the Right Side of History was also a passion project. So I think, you know, be creative and just have fun and create something for your book, and hopefully it's going to help you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one important thing is when you're creating a passion project, make it big, blow it up, right? So don't just create one visual, create a concept and show that you can apply this concept to multiple visuals that maybe don't look the same, right? Yeah. So I think that's an important thing that any employer wants to see, or any client wants to see, is that you can conceptualize things and, you know, apply the concept to certain designs. And it can also be, let's say, you know, different media that you apply this design or this concept to. So whenever I create a branding, I'm a branding and packaging designer. So whenever I'm creating a branding, I'm always showing the client what the branding looks like on different media. So what does it look like on packaging? So I'll demonstrate it to them just, you know, in the client presentation. What does it look like on packaging? What does it look like on the website? What does it look like, you know, on different print media?
Yeah.
What does it look like in an online ad? So I think it's great to kind of blow up a project, even though it starts really small, but then really make it big.
Yeah, exactly. And some really good resources for this, guys, are like mockups. Do mockups for your portfolios. Like one of my favorites is layers.xyz. I think or layers.design. This is a great resource for mockups where they're really high quality mockups, and you can use these for your portfolio.
An awesome resource.
Really, really great.
Yeah.
Some people like want to keep this.
What was the website for that again?
Layers.design. So you can see here they've got some really cool mock-ups for your portfolio. I use these for clients, for client presentations. I use them, and it just makes the work look so much more professional, and it's really going to help your portfolio. And then another great one is from the brand identity. They also have mock-ups that are really, really good. Definitely recommend checking these out. So if you go over here to shop, these are all templates that you can use for your portfolio, and they're really, really nice quality.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing those resources. I think this will be really helpful. And also, if you are, you know, into designing products, any kind of packaging, Smarty mockups also really good. They have very consistent mockups that you can also combine. So, yeah. It's just, you know, it's a great site. It's a very high quality mockups, and they're, you know, they're not all free. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. But I think sometimes it's worth it, you know, paying a couple dollars and, but create an amazing presentation, right?
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's worth it. I mean, sometimes I'll use free mockups, but the quality of the professional mockups, it changes the game. Like it really does.
Mm-hmm. I've been also wanting to ask you, I saw on your Instagram that you have created those graphics that are placed on flags or on fabric. And some of your recent posts, could you open that real quick? I wanted to ask you how you did that, and did you use a mock-up or did you do it in 3D software?
The Flags of America project, this one here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So these are all rendered in 3D actually. So some of them are mock-ups and some of them are rendered. But they have
cool.
a lot of Photoshop work. Remember how I told you guys I did photo retouching for a few years? Those skills really came in handy.
Yeah, that came in handy, huh?
Yeah. So I actually rendered all of these flags, and then I cut them out with my pen tool very specifically. And then I placed them on photographs of the desert, and then I did a bunch of treatments over it so they feel like they're actually there. So just adding things like grain, levels, brightness and contrast, highlights, just so that it feels realistic. Because obviously if you just like plop a photo on a photo, it's not going to feel realistic. So just adding information like visual layers to it is going to make it feel more real.
That's so cool. I'm really loving this project. I think it's very unique, and I haven't seen anything like that before. I think it's really great.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Of course. Spend 3 hours in the bath. I have some fun options for this photo. Look at these bathtubs. I mean, they're so funny.
That's so cool.
I think this is pretty cool. Pretty cool bathtub. Let's do this one. So we're just going to paste that into it.
I also love how you're reusing the same shapes and you know, the same borders and everything to keep it consistent.
Yeah, that's definitely great. And one thing I'm forgetting to do is to add my description text. So I'm just going to make more of an effort to include that on the pages because I think it adds to it. In here as well. Let's put it on the bottom this time. I like to just move stuff around.
Yeah.
Make this bigger.
Ruthwick is saying compositing is super underrated. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Cool.
It's really time consuming. This is a cute one. I like this one. I can imagine seeing this in like a nice book.
Yeah. Love it. Marsha is saying Angela's work is fantastic.
Oh,
and Monica is asking, where can we find all mockups for apparel? You probably know.
For mockups for apparel is kind of tough because a lot of the mockups are not great. I would try Creative Market. You have to pay for them, but I think it's nice. I would try Creative Market, or honestly just go to Shutterstock and download blanks, like plain white t-shirt. I think I would recommend something like that, because you can try Pixodent. I think Pixodent is pretty good as well, but I feel like everybody uses those. So Creative Market's going to allow you to do something a bit more unique.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they also have pretty stylized sets of mockups, which I really love. And they all look like they belong together. So that's also a great opportunity to use Creative Market for.
Definitely, yeah. So for this one, I think, okay, so we just did spend 3 hours in the bathtub. That's one of my, honestly, guys, I love the bath. It's so nice. I could spend all day in there.
Me too.
I think we can.
Same.
Yeah, you like it?
You should really make it your spa.
Exactly. So for this one, I think we can do call your friends and make sure they're okay, and call your friends and make sure that you are okay.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Going to change this to -75, and then I think we can keep this back to lights.
I think also adding a little bit of humor in it,
Yeah,
in the later pages, freshens it up and it catches the attention back,
Exactly. I never wanted this to be like a really serious thing. I always kind of wanted to be playful, and because we could all use some humor at the moment.
Yeah, totally. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And Vuduval, thanks for reminding us. We have about 10 minutes left. And if you have any last minute questions, drop them into the chat. Also, if you have some surviving techniques for the pandemic, please also drop them into the chat so that Angela can apply them to her book tomorrow.
Yeah, and then
so
tomorrow
we already have a list here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And tomorrow we're going to do the cover art, table of contents as well. So it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, make sure to join back tomorrow. It's going to be super fun. Yeah, Bruce is saying humor is always refreshing. I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. Things always go wrong. You just have this. It's just the way you react to them, right? So
yeah, that's right. I'm curious, do you guys have a favorite spread? Is there one that you think works the best?
Yeah, it would be also great to know. Marsha is suggesting go hug a tree.
I like that. That's cute. For sure.
That's cool. I'll have to note that down. Go hug a tree.
I love awesome. The red. I think the red is really strong. I love this one too, the green.
Yeah. Which one's your favorite?
I think my favorite is this one with Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah.
I love this one. Or
that's
I like
my favorite too.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to see what's going to come out in the one that you're working on currently with a phone. Call your friends to make sure they're fine, and call your friends to make sure you're fine.
I know, it's a cute one.
Pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we could do something minimal like this, or we could make it, let's see, just duplicating it to practice. Maybe we could do like a photo in the middle, and then text over the photo.
That's great. Bruce is saying, grow a garden is catching me.
Yeah.
I definitely added on my plans. And also, I think pets are also great. Having
Yeah.
a pet, getting a new pet. Um, my dog is definitely happy that I'm at home.
I know, my cat is too. My cat's name is Sashimi. He's the best.
Sashimi, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I think
That's
we can
awesome.
do a red one. This one, I think we
Yeah,
can
spice it up.
Spice it up.
Spice it up with some red.
Go for a really, really long drive. I actually don't have a car, but if I did, I would definitely be going for really long drives right now.
Multiple people are suggesting to put the mixologist one, become a mixologist. I think also that's a good one.
I know, I like that one too. I think that's a really nice one. I like that it's just so minimal. I think the photograph really adds to it as well. I think it makes it feel really good.
Amy is asking, I think we've talked about that earlier, but maybe we can quickly repeat. What exactly, again, do you type in image search that sources live images?
You just type in source and then life. So just like, I'll show you. Source, life, like this.
Cool. And those photos you can use for personal projects?
Personal projects, but not commercial projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's really good to know. I think that's really some insider information right there.
For sure. And it's nice. It's a great resource.
Lela is saying, also suggesting the Life Archive.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The Life Archive is exactly what this is.
Cool. And Grace is also asking, good question as well. We went through where to get all the mockups, but where do you get your stock photos, or what are your resources there?
For stock photos, For stock photos, I normally will use, I'd love to use Giddy, but Giddy is really expensive. I wish I could use Giddy more often, honestly. So most times I'll normally use Offset. Offset is like Shutterstock's like more refined photographs, and then you can, like, the same pricing plans apply, which is nice. So I'll use Offset. Sometimes I'll just use like Wikimedia Commons, honestly, because I find that it's nice to, sometimes you can get some really cool photos, modern photos on Wikimedia Commons. And then they're free to use, which is nice. I'm trying to see how I want to use this font here.
If you're looking for free photos, I think Unsplash is also great. Yeah. And also another thing that's pretty new is that the Adobe Stock has released, I think, 70,000 free assets. So including stock photography as well, but also, different layouts for posters, greeting cards. There are some 3D models that you can download for free. There is a whole collection of free assets, video, images, a lot of stuff. Yeah. So definitely check out stock.adobe.com, and this is where you can select the free section and get some amazing free assets for yourself, for your designs. Yeah, that's true. What I like to get from there are textures. So for example, you want to underlay an image or a certain graphic with a texture. I love using the textures that are available there for free. Just download them. I don't even think you need to sign up, or I don't think you need to put on your credit card information or anything. You can just download those images.
That's true. I use Adobe Stock a lot, and it's nice because you can use your CC account.
Yeah, totally. All right, we have only 1.5 minutes left, so let's wrap up. Let's put in some last words, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. So thank you so much, Anjela. I think this was such a great, amazing, helpful session. And what have we learned today? I think we have learned a lot of things about, you know, putting together a layout, you know, putting the masters together. And yeah, so more tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Angela,
Thank you for
so much.
joining.
Great work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you guys tomorrow.